watches this later, misses my rambling, and you're in charge.
Hey guys, happy Sunday. I just hit record. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and share my screen right away. And like Ross said, if y'all have any questions, you can either save them for the end, or you can drop them in the chat. I have the chat box open on my side. So let's get started. Hold on, let me slideshow from the beginning. Okay. So like he mentioned, until we get a little bit more familiar with each other and what y'all are looking for, specifically, it's going to be pretty broad topics. I know our first presentation was kind of the meat and potatoes of why nutrition is important to you as an athlete, how to start looking at our nutrition a little bit differently than mindlessly eating, being a little bit more deliberate with our choices, looking at what we're having before a workout, after a workout. And when I say workout, I mean like your swim practices or your meets and your events, so that we can be optimizing your time spent in the pool and continuing to get stronger and faster and progress through your season. So this, it says November, that's wrong. But so our agenda today is going to go a little bit more in depth with some of the things we spoke about in our last chat. So I believe I mentioned to you guys that I am a macronutrition focused coach. So we went over what the macros are. Our macros are what make up our calories. So when you're looking at your calories, where do those numbers come from? It comes from protein, carbs, and fats. So today I'm going to break down what those three things are, how we eat them, how they work in our body in relation to y'all's workouts and why they're so important. So the first thing we're going to talk about is protein. What is it? What does it do? Okay, so with your macros, there are three of them. There is protein, carbohydrates, and fat. You've probably heard of all of those three things. When you flip over a packaged food and there's that nutrition label, if you look at the nutrition label under the calories, you will see a line for fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And it's going to show you those numbers in grams. So protein is one of the three nutrients of your macronutrients, like fats and carbs. This is the building block of your nutrition. I like to think of this as the most important of all the macros. Typically, it tends to be the one that is under-eaten in most cases, but it is the most important, especially as an athlete. So the protein is what builds and repairs our muscles. It's a crucial part of your diet and your nutrition as an athlete, because the goal is to be stronger, be faster, recover quicker. That's what we're training for, right? So we want to make sure we're getting an adequate amount of protein in our diets, and we can accomplish this through a well-rounded diet. So let's talk about where you can find protein. What is it? What kind of macronutrient is it? Where would you find it in a meal? So with your protein, it's meats. So chicken, turkey, seafood, pork, red meat. When we want to look at a leaner meat. The leaner the meat, the better it is for building our protein blocks. So chicken and turkey, seafood, some lean cuts of pork is going to be where you can get the most and the biggest piece of your protein. So when you're looking at your dinner plate, where is your protein portion? We don't want to have any meal where we've skipped the protein or skipped one of these macros. Other sources of protein are your eggs, yogurts, cottage cheese, so some dairy options, and then protein supplements like shakes and powders you can put in smoothies, you can drink. There are some protein snacks like protein chips, protein bars, supplements, but these are kind of the basic, most generic places you can find and get your protein. We want to make sure we're getting a protein at every meal and usually sneaking it in during some snacks. In relation to your workout, it's going to be great to have this as a post-workout snack. So if you're looking for something to eat after a workout, protein is going to be the perfect thing to slide in right there. How much protein should I have? So without weighing y'all down with a ton of math, you want to be getting 1 to 1.5 of grams per kilogram of your body weight. I broke this down for you to have. You'll have this slide available for you. We're not going to go into too much of the math behind it, but basically you want to get 45 to about 68 or 70 grams of protein a day. Usually people your age are getting more than that, which is great. If you're looking at just like one chicken breast, you're getting about 25 grams of protein just right there. So you're already over halfway to the 45 mark. So that's kind of the goal. If you spread it out through your day, you should easily be able to hit the 45 to 68 grams a day, as long as we're not skipping it at a meal. So at breakfast, you could have scrambled eggs, you could have a yogurt, you could have a protein smoothie. At lunch, if you make sure you put, maybe you're having a turkey sandwich, or if you're doing a school lunch, you're making sure you're getting the chicken, or you're getting a piece of meat or a piece of fish or some seafood. And then same with dinner, adding a little bit of that extra protein on your plate is going to be really, really important for y'all to be successful. Questions about proteins? Okay, second macro group, carbohydrates, your carbs. What is it? What does it do? Again, it's one of your 3 macros. It's the #1 energy source. So I like to tell people it's like the gas in your tank. So your car can't go without gas. You can't go without carbs. You need the carbs for energy. So it's the most important macro to eat pre-exercise. So we talked about protein coming after your workout, having a good carbohydrate before your workout, like you're fueling up the car before you go on a long road trip. You want to make sure you're putting in a good carbohydrate into your body to give you that energy that you need before your workout. Complex versus a simple carb. I don't know if some of y'all have maybe heard someone mention that there's a difference between 2 different types of carbs. There's a complex carb and there's just a simple carb. Your complex carbs are going to be found in whole unprocessed foods. So things like fruits and veggies, whole grains, multigrains, beans. Simple carbs are going to be found in sugars and in white starches. So think like donuts, maybe some cereals, baked goods, candy. And the biggest difference between those 2 is the complex carb is going to pack in way more nutrients and healthy vitamins and healthy energy. They're denser to digest, so it's slower, giving you more energy, long lasting. Whereas the simple sugars burn out and transfer into sugar really quickly. So I like to use the example of putting a log on the fire versus putting a twig on the fire. That log is going to let the fire burn much longer, bigger, stronger, longer. Where if you put a twig on the fire, it's going to burn up really quickly. That energy is come and gone. So when we're thinking about things that we can have maybe before a workout, a banana, a whole piece of fruit, oatmeal, maybe a whole wheat sandwich, peanut butter toast, something like that, a whole wheat bagel with some peanut butter, something like that's going to give you the right amount of energy versus having something like a honey bun or a candy bar, where that's going to burn up really quickly and you're going to run out of energy before practice is over. Where can I find the carbs? The good carbs, like I said, are going to be things like your fruits, your veggies, sweet potatoes, whole wheats, multigrains, and some beans. Why do I need them? So again, because they're the energy source and you need that energy, especially for practices, it will prevent low energy levels. It lowers your risk of energy when we're feeling fatigue or kind of lethargic. We tend to be less cognizant or aware of what we're doing. So you may be more at risk of hurting yourself. The carbs will fight fatigue and it will enhance your performance. London just asked, what about a burger? A burger, just the meat part of the burger, that is going to be considered protein. The red meat is a fattier protein. It has higher fat than if you were to have a chicken breast. But that would be considered a protein source. Okay, questions about carbs before we jump into the fats? Your third and final macro group. Harrison asks, can't you die from eating too much red meat? So too much red meat, without being too alarming and saying that you can die from eating too much of it, it can give you heart health risks over a long period of time. So you may not see the results, the negative results of eating too much red meat tomorrow, but over the course and the span of your lifetime, if all you're eating is red meat, it can do damage to the body. So that's why we want to focus on working in leaner meat options. Some red meat now and then is fine. We don't want to have it every meal, maybe not even every day. So trying some alternatives like ground turkey or ground chicken if you're doing tacos, or if you like a spaghetti with meat sauce. And then incorporating some chicken, some lean pork, seafood, those types of options would be better alternatives to constantly eating too much red meat. Harrison just asked, how much is too much because I eat, let me go jump back. How much is too much because I eat spaghetti at least twice a week? I would maybe try an alternative. If you're doing spaghetti with a red sauce twice a week, or a red meat twice a week, like a ground red meat, maybe try and do your spaghetti with a ground chicken or a ground turkey. They're going to be a leaner meat option. One more question. Melina asks, how much time should you take a carb snack pre-practice and how much is enough? So for a pre-workout snack, these are great questions. Pre-workout snack, you want to take in that snack 30 to 60 minutes. So half an hour to an hour before you hit the pool. That way it gives the body time to start digestion a little bit and let the body start using the energy that you just put into it. Also, this is a little bit specific to you personally. I know that I can eat on my way to a workout or walking into the gym and it doesn't affect my stomach. I know some people need to give their stomachs at least an hour because maybe it sits too heavy on their stomach and they need time. What if we have dry land? Same thing. It's going to be 30 to 60 minutes before the workout, regardless if it's the pool or the dry land. But again, depending on how your body responds, because we're all different, not every shoe is going to fit. You may be able to eat a little bit closer to your dry land workout than you could before jumping in a pool. Just depending on how your body digests, how your stomach feels, what sits well on your stomach. So while we are starting to dig into y'all's nutrition, and it's now y'all are starting to focus a little bit more on the timing of your nutrition and what things we should be eating before and after practices, would be a good time to start experimenting with what doesn't upset your stomach, what you find feels best, what you think held you over. Maybe are you used to getting out of the pool really hungry or finding yourself really hungry in the middle of practice? We tried eating a banana with peanut butter today, and that was great and that worked. So having a little bit of experiment, paying a little bit more attention and being a little bit more mindful of those choices is gonna be really important. We started that with the older group. And it's been really fun to watch them figure out or hear from them and figure out what has worked, what hasn't worked, the timing. Some people need to eat an hour. Some people can do it 15 minutes before they jump in the pool, and finding what works for you. That way, when you do go to meets, you've already done your homework. You know what to pack. You know what your body responds well to, rather than just winging it. And maybe something you decide to eat before a meet gives you upset stomach. We don't want to try anything new on the day of a meet or the day of a competition. Does that make sense? So something like one of my go-to pre-workouts is, oh, Ross just said some older swimmers eat small amounts during practice, which is great, because same with at meets, I'm sure as well, because you may have events that are spread out and you don't want to go too long without putting something on your stomach. So maybe you need a bag of pretzels in your bag that you can, jump out and take a few. Or maybe you eat half of a banana before practice and then somewhere in the middle you take in the other half. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a great option. I think there was someone that was eating a pack of instant oatmeal before heading to practice. So any of those complex carbohydrates is going to be great. We want to avoid anything with high sugar. So no candy bars, no soft drinks, those types of things we want to avoid. Gives us the shakes, can upset our stomach. Again, it's going to burn up really quickly. And so you won't have that long lasting energy that you may need in the pool. Was that helpful with the carbs and the pre-workout? Okay. If something comes back, we'll jump into fats. And if something comes back up, we can always route back. So your third macro group are fats. What are they? What do they do? So this is an additional fuel source similar to a carb. So you heard me say something like a banana with peanut butter or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Fats, the healthy fats, and we'll kind of talk about what are the healthy fats, is a great addition to your pre-workout snack. It is also what helps to keep us feeling satisfied in our meals and in our snacks. Oops, I skipped a slide. So some of your options, must have got deleted. So fat, some healthy fats that you could incorporate into your snacks, into your meals, into your pre-workout snacks would be things like nuts. So the healthy nuts, some examples of healthy nuts would be almonds, cashews, pistachios, nut butters like peanut butter, almond butter. Avocados is a great healthy snack. Whole eggs. I know we put eggs in our protein category a few slides ago, but the yellow part, the yolk of your egg, is loaded with healthy fats. So if you like hard-boiled eggs, it could be a great option. You're getting your protein and some fat combined in there. Cooking with olive oil, coconut oil, are great healthy fats. And there's some healthy fatty fishes. So like salmon, if you like salmon, it's going to be a higher, healthier fat. In contrast to the red meat, that's not a healthy fat. So salmon, healthy fat, a red meat burger, not so healthy fat. Okay, questions about your macros, what they are, how they relate to your meals, your snacks, your pre-workout, your post-workout, the nutritional timing of the pre-workout and the post-workout. What is a macro? So there are macronutrients and there are micronutrients. Macro meaning big, micro meaning small. So our big nutrients that make up our diet and food in general are carbs, fats, and proteins. Those three things make up the calories in food that we eat. So if you have a granola bar and you flip over that granola bar and it says on the label, on that nutrition label, it's 100 calories. Those 100 calories came from a combination of how many proteins, carbs, and fats are in that granola bar. So when you look at it and it says maybe it's 5 grams of fat and it's 30 grams of carbs and it's 8 grams of protein. I'm just making up numbers. Those 3 gram numbers of your macronutrients of protein, carbs, and fat equal how many calories you're getting. Does that make sense? Your micronutrients that we don't count towards our calories, and it's kind of the bonus, your micros are your bonus nutrients, are things like minerals, vitamins, fiber, those types of things are your micronutrients, the extra stuff we get in our foods. Is that helpful, Harrison, to explain a little bit better? No, good question, London. Not every gram equals 1 calorie. So carbs and protein are the same. 1 gram equals 4 calories. So 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So we get a lot more calories from fat than we do the other two, your carbs and your proteins. So it's really easy to overeat in fat, even if it's healthy fat, because it carries so many more calories than its counterparts of protein and carbs. That's why I was saying that it's very easy for a lot of people to undereat their protein. Because of y'all's age range and where y'all lie at about 45 to 70 grams of protein a day, you probably are getting close to those numbers. Maybe some of y'all a little bit more. As you get older, grow, your workouts change, you'll start to have to increase that number with your weight. But right now at y'all's level, about 45 to 70 grams of protein is where y'all would need to be. Harrison, how many grams should you eat a day? How many grams of what? Protein, carbs, or fats? Fat. So I don't want y'all getting too hung up on the grams of fat, because the math behind the fat is technically 30. It's recommended to get 30% of your daily calories from fat. So it's kind of hard to say where y'all would lie with that. Just being mindful of choosing the healthy fats, avoiding too many of the bad fats. And when I say bad fats, I mean things that are fried. So we want to avoid the fried foods and the fattier meats, like too much red meat, too many French fries. If you're getting drive-through, try avoiding the fried options, maybe getting the grilled chicken nuggets at Chick-fil-A, getting the grilled chicken sandwich instead of the fried tenders. Making those little changes will be really helpful to your making sure you're getting the right amount of fat and healthier fats. Is a small fruit bowl a good breakfast before a meat? Michelle just asked. A fruit bowl is a great breakfast. It's not enough. A small fruit bowl is not enough before a meat. Your meals, you want to make sure you've checked all 3 of those macro boxes: your protein, your carbs, and your fats. With a fruit bowl, you're just getting carbs. You may get 2 to 3 grams of protein, depending on what fruits are in that bowl, but it's not enough. I love a fruit bowl, but we could add in some yogurt, could add in some granola, add in some eggs, add in some whole wheat toast, some oatmeal. It just needs to be bigger. That would be a small fruit bowl as a snack. So it'd be great to maybe pack with you for your meet to have on the side to snack in between events. Some healthy brands of granola bars. Healthy brands of granola bars. I really like the RX bars. I really like I think the Go macros are a pretty healthy option. We want to avoid the ones that are very high in added sugars. So when you guys start looking at maybe labels of granola bars, flip it over and there's a line on the nutrition label that says added sugar. We want that number to be pretty low. Oops, hold on. Next question. What is your recommendation of total calories per day for young swimmers? Y'all's goal is probably going to be, and I believe that was in the slide, one of the slides from our last chat. Y'all are probably, I'm going to give it a very average number because I know we have male, we have female, the age range is a couple of years. So around about of maybe 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day. And I wouldn't want y'all to get too hung up on counting the calories that you're getting in a day, as much as making sure that all 3 of your meals have a lean protein, a complex carb, a healthy fat. You're getting plenty of fruits and veggies. You're getting good amount of dairy. Your plate is colorful. It's not all yellow, meaning that it's probably just carbs, simple carbs. Making sure you're getting a good variety, making sure you're getting 3 good sized meals, possibly probably 3 to 4 good snacks a day sprinkled in between those meals, especially because y'all are young athletes. You are probably, or not probably, you definitely need more calories than your friends or classmates who do not have an athletic extracurricular. You're burning more calories, so you need to replenish the body with the calories that you're losing. Michelle, so it would be a good snack for before practice. Yes, the fruit bowl would be a great snack pre-practice. What is a good thing to eat for lunch each day? So this is from Stephanie. It's kind of broad, but you want to have a good variety at lunch. I guess it also would depend on if you're packing your lunch or if you're bringing, if you're eating school lunches. I've worked with a couple teens where we've worked together one-on-one, and they will, if they're eating at school, they'll send me their school lunch menu and I help them pick out the best options. If you're bringing your school, or if you're bringing your lunch to school, I love sandwiches on multigrain or whole wheat toast, bread, or in a whole wheat multigrain wrap. Chicken salad, tuna salad, anything where you're getting a good lean meat. We want to avoid, too much processed food. If you have the option for maybe heating up some leftovers that you've had for dinner, which is always a great option. But if maybe you're getting a sandwich or a wrap with some fruits, some pretzels, and maybe hummus, peanut butter crackers, anything like that, where it's going to be whole, real foods rather than a highly processed granola bar, a highly processed fruit snack. If it's high in sugar, if it's just a piece of candy wrapped in something that tells us it's healthy, checking that added sugar line on the nutrition label, making sure it's low in added sugar, is going to be good, healthy lunch options. Avoiding too many fried chips, focusing on maybe more baked snacks, pretzels, instead of like Zaps. Anyone else? Any other questions? What about future topic requests? I know our last meeting, we talked about the importance of nutrition, kind of went over a little bit of the macros. Today we went into a lot of detail about macros and food choices. Does anybody have any future topic requests off the top of their head right now? After kind of going through some of these topics and questions and whatnot. Hydration, love it. We can definitely add that. It's a big one. We can talk about how much water y'all need to be taking in during the day, how much you should be taking in during practice, what are some hydration supplements y'all could look into, things to maybe start incorporating, things maybe we should avoid when it comes to hydration. What else? Hydration is a good one, especially for swimmers. I've talked to a couple or a handful now who maybe they forget water. They're in the pool. They don't think about, I need to bring water with me. You need to make sure you take those breaks to hydrate. And hydration is one of those things that you can get behind on and you become dehydrated, and we need to stay. You can't play catch up with your hydration. You basically need to get into your workout already hydrated. Hold on. Since you were talking about how people sent their school lunch menus and you told them what to get at my school weekend. Oh, at your school, they just have one option for lunch. At school, if they're not offering the healthiest options, and you get one option and that's really it may be time to start thinking about packing your lunch and planning ahead. I know there was a lot of this with the older group, the older swimmers, where rather than just kind of saying, oh, well, this is my only option, this is what I'm stuck eating, maybe starting taking a little bit more initiative and planning that meal ahead, getting involved and being a participant in the grocery shopping at home and giving suggestions on what you want for lunches so you can have that packed and start bringing it with you would be a great way to take control of your nutrition a little bit rather than just being stuck with what work school gives you. What does this say? How to build a meal plan schedule for when they're out on weekend meets. That's a great one. We've covered that a couple times with the older swimmers. That would be a great one to do. There are some tips and tricks we can talk about for planning when we travel, how to plan ahead, how to pack, things that you can work on before a meet. And before you travel so that we know what we need to do to be successful at the meet. Good one. What if you get school lunch and sometimes it's unhealthy foods or you don't know what's in it? Again, that would be going back to maybe it's time to start packing our own lunch rather than just relying on what the school offers. We have a salad bar and sandwich bar too. What are good things to put on a salad and a sandwich? Salad loaded up with fresh veggies, loaded up with a protein. We never want to skip a protein in our salad. We want to make sure we're getting that protein. So you can load it up with all these veggies and these healthy greens, But you don't want to skip out on the meat option. Maybe they have some eggs, some like hard-boiled eggs, some chicken salad, whatever the meat option is available. Don't go too crazy on the creamy dressings. Do enough to, make it taste good, but less is more. Sandwich bar, same thing. I would focus on a lean meat like a turkey, a chicken, cheese, veggies, and then try incorporating a whole wheat or multi-grain bread or wrap option. What about a kid that doesn't like to eat meat? That's when I would start looking into protein supplements, or seafood options. Protein powders, protein shakes, big smoothies, loading that protein in where you can. Shrimp is loaded with protein. Fish is loaded with protein. Those would be great alternatives if we don't want to eat a ton of meat. If we're not a big chicken, turkey fan. Are beans a good protein? Yes, beans do have protein. They're going to have more carbohydrates in them than a protein. So that's why I classified it under a carbohydrate option or in that macro group, but it does have protein in it. It's not enough to be considered maybe your protein source at that meal, but it does have additional protein in it, if that makes sense. Boiled shrimp's great. Love it. Yes, avocado oil is definitely a healthy fat. Avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, those are all great oil options. Oh, it says mayo. I see. Would avocado oil mayo be a healthy fat? Mayo's not a healthy fat. The avocado oil is going to be the healthier fat of maybe just the regular mayo. Use it sparingly. I mean, we don't want to use a ton of mayo, but some mayo is totally fine. Is ham healthy on sandwiches? It's healthy. It's not healthy. It's still a meat, still getting you protein. It's higher in sodium and higher in fat than turkey. But it's fine. What are superfoods? Superfoods are something that were branded kind of as a marketing tool or a, umbrella to kind of lump healthy, good foods into a category that would basically mean it gives us energy, it gives us protein, it kind of checks all of the health boxes. So I know things like eggs, avocado, nuts, nut butters, dark leafy greens, beans, lentils, things like that all fall under categories of superfoods. Some seeds like chia seeds. They're called superfoods because a lot of times these foods pack in a lot of nutrients, a lot of micronutrients. So along with the healthy macro side that they provide, a lot of these superfoods are packing in a high, maybe vitamin, iron, an additional health nutritional benefit. So it's kind of thinking about where can I get the most bang for my buck nutritionally in some of these foods. Does that make sense? Lentil. A lentil is like a bean. It's considered a legume. You could eat it like a bean and you boil it. Just a food. Fiber would be considered, it's not, I guess maybe it would kind of be somewhere in the middle, maybe a micro, but because it's not one of the three macros. You do want to make sure you're getting enough fiber, and a great place to get your fiber would be from whole foods, whole natural, not the grocery store, but whole natural foods like your fruits and your veggies are, and some of your multi-grains like oatmeals are packed with fiber, which is great for your digestion. And it's really important for our nutrition. What would you put in a smoothie? I made a smoothie bowl for lunch today. I like to put in frozen fruit. Either I get a mix of frozen fruits, or sometimes I just have fresh bananas and berries. I love peanut butter. So it's usually my go-to flavors would be a banana, peanut butter, and a vanilla or chocolate protein powder with almond milk. That's kind of my go-to. But any combination of fruits. Oh, and I'll usually put in a fistful of fresh spinach. Fresh spinach you do not taste in your smoothie. A whole fistful, dump it right in there. It will turn it green, but you do not taste it. And it's a great way to get in some extra micronutrients and extra superfood. Spinach would be considered a superfood. Especially if you have trouble maybe eating spinach, or maybe you have trouble getting your veggies in, you can hide some of those things in your smoothies and you can't really taste it. Is Smoothie King healthy? Smoothie King can be healthy if you order it correctly. Smoothie King puts in something called turbinado into a lot of their smoothie blends. It's a sweetener. You can order any of their smoothies that potentially have turbinado in it, skinny, or you can just say no turbinado, please. And it makes it healthier. So yeah, Smoothie King's fine. Just be mindful of how you're ordering. The Gladiator is my go-to smoothie at Smoothie King. Their Gladiator protein powder is a great protein profile. And their smoothie, I think you get it with 1 or 2 fruits. I usually get a vanilla Gladiator with banana and peanut butter. Is my go-to Smoothie King order if I ever go. Protein powder, do I recommend? The Gladiator one from Smoothie King's great. I find one that I like at Rouse's a lot called Iconic. It's a blue and white bag. When there's a ton of options out there, when you're looking at, this could be a whole topic. I think I've done a whole presentation with the older guys on protein supplements, how to navigate all the brands out there, how to find what works best for us. Do you do whey protein? Do you do plant-based protein? What's the difference? There's a ton of information out there. So we can definitely add that to future topics that we can discuss. You basically want to look for a protein supplement that is, when you look at the label on the back, primarily protein. If it has a ton of fat and a ton of carbs in it, we might as well just be chewing something else. When you're looking at a protein supplement, like a powder, you want it to be primarily protein gram concentrated. Good questions, guys. This is fun. Anything else? So we can talk about hydration in the future. We can go more in depth with pre and post workout snack options. I feel like I still get that question from the older guys. We can talk about meat planning and prepping for out-of-town travel. And we can talk about how to navigate supplements and hydration. Maybe we could do a protein supplement and hydration in one. That would be two good topics kind of put together. Zoe asked, what about fruit juices? Fruit juices, you want to just make sure they're 100% fruit juices, no added sugars. You want to, they're fine. I mean, as long as you're getting your hydration and your water intake still in, some fruit juice isn't terrible. You don't want that to be like your primary hydration source. And we definitely want it to be 100% fruit juice, not from concentrate or anything like that. Do I recommend a hydration powder to put in water? Yes, I don't think it's necessary all of the time, but if it's special, the timing of that can be not tricky, but the timing of it could have to do with when it's summertime and the heat cranks up here in the South and you need more hydration and your sweat loss is higher. You want to be replenishing your sweat loss, especially if you are doing outside dry lands or anything like that. So there are a few that I like, like the Gatorades and the Powerades, I think can be great supplements rather than something we just drink all day, every day. Liquid IV is a good one. Again, I don't think we just need to be drinking liquid IV all the time, but maybe to have it in your bottle during practice, or it's something maybe we have the week leading up to a meet. So you make sure you're extra hydrated before you go into a competition. What should you eat for breakfast at a Holiday Inn on a day of a swim meet? Depends on what that continental breakfast looks like. A lot of times they should have some eggs. They probably will have an assortment of multi-grain toast or bagel maybe with some cream cheese or some peanut butter. A lot of times they'll have oatmeal available or a yogurt with granola. Just avoiding things that are too high in sugar. Like we don't need the donuts or like the Danishes, and we don't need the Frosted Flakes or the Fruity Pebbles, and focusing on more whole natural foods. Usually those continental breakfasts will have something, or most of the time your room has a refrigerator. So going to the store the night before to have something in your room in the fridge, that's going to be a piece for the planning chat that we can have. Greek yogurt, would Greek yogurt make a good snack? Greek yogurt is a great snack. You are hitting all macros. It's higher in protein than the other two. You should be getting maybe a little bit of fat, probably not much, and a little bit of carbs. So it's a great snack. You can always add in granola and berries to it, or a fruit and a granola, and make it a meal. Good questions. How we doing? Good? Any other questions? These are great questions, and I think these are going to be great things to take with us for future presentations as well. Because it's a lot of stuff we've talked about with the older group. So it's good to hear that y'all are on the same page. Can I add honey to plain Greek yogurt? Sure. Love honey.
I mean, Nichole, if you've kind of I think you've hit a lot. I have a meeting coming up at 6, so
Okay.
I'm good with kind of wrapping things up for this time.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, this was great. I appreciate the interaction, because that's the best way we can move forward and branch out into topics that are going to be really helpful for y'all, rather than me just picking a topic and rambling on. So I appreciate the input, and we'll plan something for the next one.
Cool.
I'm going to stop my share, And I'm
Thank
gonna,
you.
you're welcome. I'm gonna stop the recording.